All right, hey everyone. I'm Jet from inthirdperson.com and welcome to Boss Rush episode 2. We are going to be talking about all sorts of video game stuff from Overwatch cosplay to the new Pokemon game that came out, some Dark Souls remastered State of Decay 2, and we are doing a Nintendo 64 game draft. Really excited for that part, but you'll just have to stick around to watch the whole thing and see who picks what. With me is Jason from downstab.com.
Yo, good to be
And
back.
making his, I think, internet show debut, it's JJ.
Yes, hey everybody.
Yay.
Hey, you nervous?
A tiny bit. But
Um,
I'm
You
fine.
should be.
I should be. I mean,
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're super glad to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're gonna have you on more often as we go. We've done a bunch of test episodes, and we did the first episode
Mhm.
last week. You haven't been able to make it on, but we're glad you're here now.
Thanks,
Yes.
me too.
And
Me
Long
too.
time coming.
And so, for everyone tuning in and who isn't familiar with you, give us the quick gaming life story of JJ.
Oh gosh. Well, started playing games with the Atari 2600 and Commodore 64 when I was pre-teens, I guess. I'm in my early 40s now. And then I've just been a fan ever since we got our NES and Super Mario Brothers, and then especially the SNES. I've, with the exception of a couple years, I've been gaming for most of my life. And
Okay.
a
Mhm.
huge Nintendo fan. They always find a way to win me back, even if they drive me nuts, which they do every so often.
Yes,
Don't
as
they
the-
always?
But they've won me back with the Switch, and PlayStation fan for years. Xbox, so. But
Shots fired.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I actually met you, Jet, through Split Kick, the old site, and
Mhm,
actually
mhm.
Jason and Matt as well.
R.I.P.
Was always a fan of that show, and I've kind of kept in touch with most of the Split Kick folks since that site went down, and it's it's good to be a part of some video game chat again. So
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Shout outs to that whole Split Kick gang. Apologies if I miss anyone, but of course, Jim, Todd, Adam, Aaron,
Daniel. Yeah.
yeah,
I
Dan,
think, yeah.
I think Hugs.
Ben,
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Ben.
Uh,
Who was the one that laughed all the time? Was really infectious.
I'm sorry, the whole Split Kick crew. Shout
Oh,
outs to
man.
you guys. I
Yes.
know
Yeah.
Jim and Todd still do their shortest tension gamer stuff. Shout outs to you guys. And otherwise, let's talk about some life stuff. Jason, what have you been up to?
Well, if you're a Boss Rush fan, we finally finished our Overwatch cosplays and we went to our convention.
Whoa.
So yeah,
Nice.
it's a relief, but yeah, everything there is done. So that's been consuming my life for the past couple of weeks. It's one of the bigger conventions in the area, all about anime, cartoons, movies, comics, video games. So it's pretty cool. This is the first year we really did a big cosplay. So Laura and I went with a group of 6, and we all did Overwatch. So Laura helped make my costume and her costume. We had friend helped 3D print some other stuff. So long story short, I went as Grillmaster 76, and the outfit was freaking amazing. Laura did a really good job, handmade everything, all painted, all stitched together. Laura was Pajama May from the recent cinematic that just came out. Another one of our friends was the Scion Hanzo, so he has the bow, but like the nice casual sort of suit that he's in. We had Lifeguard McCree, and we had the Cardboard Box Diva, and we had, last but not least, the only Symmetra that was at the entire convention.
Oh man,
So
awesome.
it's pretty cool. Yeah. And I think we had a lot of cool like show-stopping pieces. So I think a lot of people like seeing us. Like for sure, Symmetra was a standout. Her gun that was printed actually spins around like Symmetra's gun does in the game, so that was pretty
Wow.
cool. Our friend made for Laura a Snowball, which is the name of her little robot.
Okay.
So that was there. Little wings kind of opened up, and its face would cycle through some expressions, so it actually kind of moved and played around. So that was pretty neat.
Cool.
And then a lot of other people were Soldier 76, but not too many were the Grillmaster one that I was. And despite I don't think anyone that was Grillmaster actually had the gun that we had. And Laura painted the gun, so super detailed, and that looked really nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. And everyone had a really great time. It was really neat to see I don't know, see the other side of that convention, because usually we're taking the photos, but this time it was us. Like, oh, can I get your photo? And we're like, oh yeah, of course. And then we strike our victory pose, and sit there for like a minute or two while people are like getting photos and coming up and saying hey, and so it was really fun.
That's awesome.
I think, yeah, thank you. I think something that we weren't really expecting was some of the random stuff that happened. Like right away when we first got there, someone gave us a little like stuffed loot box, which is actually right here. So someone
Okay.
gave us this little guy.
Oh, cool.
And then someone else gave me one of those Coca-Cola cans that has people's names on it, but it actually says Grill Master.
That's cool.
I think the strangest was someone, our Hanzo cosplayer, someone asked him to sign their Hanzo body pillow. And
Okay.
so he did. Yeah. He did, and he's like, I'm just a guy in a costume. Yeah, they still signed it, so it was
That's
cool.
awesome.
And it was,
That's awesome.
yeah, it was neat to see little kids who were really happy, like, oh, you're my favorite character, and we're like, oh yeah, we'll take a photo. So it was cool. I think it was good enough that we'd all want to do it again. So worth the effort.
Great. Do you have any stuff you can show on stream besides the loot box? Give us a fashion show, man.
Yes, but I would need to leave. Do you want to keep talking and I'll come back?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
JJ, what's
I'll
up
be
with you?
Yeah, so just normal life stuff, family, kids, that kind of stuff. But I finally saw Infinity War.
Okay.
I'm a huge, so I was a big comic fan growing up. You got me into comics again a couple years ago. We both kind of dropped off at the same time with the various crossovers and whatever, and resets. But the Marvel Cinematic Universe has really kind of kept me hooked. And just with family and schedules and whatever, I don't get to the movies a whole lot, but I finally was like, I got to go see Infinity War. I'd caught up on Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther a couple weeks ago, and it was just spectacular. Obviously, I will not spoil anything, but having been rewatching the movies up to this point, over the last few months, I started with Iron Man and Phase 1, and I've been kind of slowly watching all the Marvel movies over the last few months. And then watching the most recent ones within the last couple of weeks, it just made it that much of a more great experience, because a lot of the little nods that they do, and they really just drop you into the scenarios in the movie. And you could watch it, I guess, having not seen the other movies, but having watched them all recently, it's just a great experience. And I would guess most Marvel fans have seen it by now, but to know how awesome it is. But if you haven't, you need to go see that movie.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna throw up.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna throw up the spoiler tag here. To your point about watching the movies leading up to Infinity War, I will say I was lost at the very beginning of the movie, because there is a movie that I did not see that I think leads right into the start of this movie.
So that was probably Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I guess the spoiler tag is up. So, oh, there he is. Hold on. Let me put the spoiler tag down. And let's make Jason's camera bigger so you can give us a show here. All right.
Yeah, okay, so I don't have the wig on, but this was the shirt, and Laura stitched the back with 76. Yeah, check that out. And then Raise the Stakes. This was just a regular blue apron, but she made everything. All
Awesome.
good. I'll lift it up. There's the spices. I have this guy. So this is good. And then our showstopper was this big ass gun.
Oh man!
Nice. Wow, that's awesome.
Just like his. So everything on there, even like the little quilty pattern and all the details.
Wow.
So. Yeah, this guy weighs maybe 5 or 6 pounds. So I was like, oh yeah, whatever. But by Sunday, I was dying. I'm carrying this stupid gun. But I would totally do it again for everything there. It was all good.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Have you in my sights. Yeah, keep going. I'm gonna change it to something more comfortable.
Okay.
Ow. Okay. I guess JJ, I can tell you my one story.
Yeah.
I swear I'm not a creeper, but my wife and I went to a board game cafe, and there was this woman who came to sit down beside us at the next table over, and she just got 2 glasses of water and was just on her phone. And she was there by herself for about an hour. And we're like, what's going on here? And then finally, guy shows up, and it's clear that they're on what appears to be a first date. So I'm guessing, because there was no hey, formal hi, I'm such and such. I'm guessing they communicated online to at least get past that point. But then from there, the first date was just super awkward. So JJ,
they're awkward, man. They're always awkward.
So JJ, Jason, we are talking about Steph and I went to a board game cafe, and there was a couple beside
Sweet.
us who were in the midst of a first date.
Why would they choose that place?
Okay, about that. She made it known that she'd never played a board game before. I think she like Googled top places in so and so to go on a date, and I know that particular place shows up a lot because I personally think board games are a cool way to break the ice.
Okay,
If you at least make the effort to play some games or know at least a little bit. Like, even if you're coming in cold, if you ask the people who work there, hey, what should I play? They would be able to give you some great suggestions, teach you how to play and everything. She had no idea that you could even do that. As for the guy who showed up an hour late, his excuse was kind of bad.
Wow.
He's just like, oh, it was work, I guess. But then he didn't tell her that he was going to show up late.
Mm-hmm.
He said he hadn't played a board
Classy.
game since he was 6, and he didn't seem all that interested to be there, so he just pulled out, like, I guess in America you would call it Chutes and Ladders, but in Canada we know it as snakes. We know it as Snakes and Ladders. And then they played some Chinese checkers, and the conversation went into weird places. For example, he does not eat sliced bread with butter because that is poor people food. I don't know if you knew that.
Wow. Oh,
I didn't know that.
Just everyone knows that. Yeah.
The other thing,
Sure.
Apparently for fun, he likes to watch anime. To which she asked, does Pokemon count as anime? And he vehemently said no.
I mean, I don't even know where to start with that. Like, okay, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can not like Pokemon and that's fine, but there's no world where that isn't anime.
Yeah, I mean, it's the definition. It's the cartoon from Japan.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
You use those two things and you're done. So,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that didn't go too well for them.
Oh, so the best part was at a certain point they'd finished Chinese checkers and they were like, she was like, you want to get out of here? And he was like, yeah. So she goes to the bathroom. The waiter comes in and is like, hey, you guys, he says, okay, the guy says, are you guys done? And he said, yes. And he was like, 1 bill or 2. And while she was in the bathroom, he decided it was separate bills. And then he paid for himself, and she comes back and now has to pay her portion of the bill by herself.
Wow. That's absolutely awful.
Classy.
And talking to Steph about it afterwards,
Oh,
I feel like if you're on a first date, regardless of how bad it goes, just take the bill, pay it, and then you don't have to talk to her again, ghost her, text, break up or whatever, but like just at least pay the bill.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Have some decency.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I'd like to go to that place.
Yes, this board game, I'm not going to name the board game cafe. I don't want people to clue in. These internet sleuths figuring it out and who they are. I don't mean to be mean.
Tom.
I don't know what their names were. All right, let's talk about some video game stuff. Jason, what are you playing?
Oh shoot, man, I really haven't done much of anything because of the cosplay stuff. So it's just been here and there. Like I'll dabble on my phone with Fire Emblem Heroes or just something, and then maybe hop on to play Overwatch for, reference. But that's pretty much it. So I haven't touched too much. That being said, like now that it's over, I've been trying to get into more new things. So I still kind of touched a little bit of Valkyria Chronicles from a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Brent and I are just playing like random party games while they're over here. So we tried those new, I don't know, what's it called? Like This Is You or Knowledge is Power, those PlayStation ones. But honestly, not too much.
Okay. JJ.
Hopefully it'll change this week.
Yeah, I hope so. JJ, what are you playing?
Yeah, so I'm playing a couple things. So right now, Prey is kind of all consuming my time. So this was a game, came out last year by the devs that made Dishonored, which I haven't played, but it is now on my short list of my backlog. So it's basically a sci-fi survival horror first-person shooter. As you can see, this is what I played this last night, I believe. The stream here, the video here. I can't really say much about story-wise because there's quite a bit of little twists at the beginning and spoilers. But the gist is you're on this space station. You wake up, you don't have any memory of who you are, and there are these variety of life forms called Typhon that are kind of have killed everybody, and you're trying to figure out what happened on the space station. The developers did a really great job of kind of giving you multiple ways to get through certain areas and to access certain things. You've actually got a little Nerf gun that you can use to like shoot buttons through. You can break glass and then shoot the Nerf gun to open a door from the inside. Just like cool stuff like that, where there are other ways to do it, to go in the front door to unlock it, but there are all these, they give you lots of options. The game is full of that kind of stuff. And this particular thing, I know I'm going in the menu a lot, is it's kind of a recurring boss fight where you can either fight him or just wait it out. And as you can see, I kind of decided to just wait it out. Because it was like he was kicking my butt, and I think I might have just before the video here, I just ran straight out and he nailed me a couple times and I was dead. So, but cool. that said, it's a total blast. I mean, it has me. It's supposedly the developers wanted to make kind of an homage to System Shock, which I haven't played either. But it's a lot like that. They wanted to make kind of a spiritual sequel to System Shock. So for any fans of System Shock, I'm sure they probably played this already, but if you haven't, it's super, super good. And I got it for dirt cheap last Christmas, probably $10 or $12. So I should say $10 or $12 US, Jet. So
wow.
Yeah, so super, super great.
Nice.
And would have made my game of the year list last year if I'd played it last year.
What was your game of the year last year?
Breath of the Wild.
Okay, yeah. Consensus pick.
Horizon Zero Dawn was my second, and I'd have to look up my third. I might have been Resident Evil 7, but
gotcha.
Yeah. So Prey is fantastic.
Great.
Highly recommended.
While taking the video footage, like watching your stream, I looked at this and went, "Yeah, this looks a hell of a lot like BioShock." Particularly when you have the wrench pulled out.
Yeah. Like right now, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that also had me thinking I need to play these BioShock games because I heard they're pretty good too.
What? You haven't played BioShock?
I have not. No,
oh man.
No. So
what are you doing?
So I think I played. So in my defense, I think I played a little of the first one.
Okay.
But in recent years, or only in recent years, have I been able to play some of the current first-person shooters without getting motion sick. So I don't know if it's like the frame rates are better. They're mostly in 1080p. Things run smoother. That I don't get it's very rare that I get motion sick in first-person shooters now. So that's why I can play this. Destiny was the first one that I could actually play and not want to throw up. So, now I'm kind of going back and like I can play Prey. I own Alien Isolation, so I'm like I need to play that too because that's supposedly amazing. BioShock, yeah. So it's kind of like I find these games and I love them, and I'm like, okay, what are games like this? And let me play those because these are fantastic. So
yeah.
So I gotta play BioShock.
It's exciting to hear that like you haven't played it yet and you can still like experience it because it's really fun.
Yeah. And I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah.
At least the first and sort of the third one, but
yeah. You're hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay. I love the first BioShock. I played a few hours of the second one and immediately hated it. And I do not like the BioShock Infinite slander. I think that game is great.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Granted, I never actually beat it, but it's good.
Yeah, I don't understand where the BioShock Infinite is bad narrative came from, but I vehemently disagree with it.
Dude, didn't we have this conversation like years ago? I feel like isn't Matt someone who really likes BioShock 2 for some reason? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Someone really liked BioShock 2, and I was like, no, they're wrong. Yeah. As a whole, they're all good games, but yeah, if you have to pick one, you pick the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Prey. The next one, which I haven't played much since it came out, but I got State of Decay 2. I am in the minority that I loved Metal Gear Survive. I loved it.
Okay.
I don't care, internet. It was fun. I really don't care. And I like The Walking Dead, and I hadn't played the first State of Decay because, again, not a big Xbox fan. But I built a new Windows 10 PC in December, so I'm like, I need an Xbox game on my PC, which makes a lot of sense. But anyway, so I was immediately interested in this, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's zombie survival, big open world. You set up a base camp. You have to scavenge for supplies. They do a really good job, kind of I think watching The Walking Dead has given me kind of an edge because I'm like, okay, I can drive in the car and get around faster, but they're going to hear me because the car is loud.
Right.
And there's something satisfying about driving your car through a crowd of zombies, and they just kind of like, but your car won't last as long. It will get damaged and eventually crap out on you. So the best way is to open your door as you're driving. And if you've got one of your NPC, one of the NPCs that is with you, you can bring them along with, or that are in your base camp. You can bring one along with you. And if you're opening your door to hit zombies, they'll open their door. So that's pretty cool. But it's just really fun, and it's really kind of just that survival loop of explore, scavenge, craft supplies, build, a infirmary to heal folks that get hurt. You build farms to grow food and that kind of stuff. The big difference with State of Decay 2, apparently from the first one, is the blood plague, which is another group of zombies that you'll encounter. They have red eyes, and usually are kind of covered in blood. And the point of the game is to kill the plague hearts that are around the world. That's pretty much the only motivation to get to the end, is to destroy all the plague hearts in the world there. But the plague zombies, if you get bit enough by them, will infect you with the blood plague. There's a cure that you get early on, but you have to scavenge for the supplies to be able to craft that and that kind of stuff. So that adds a bit of tension to knowing that, like, oh shoot, I can't get surrounded by the blood plague zombies because they'll infect characters. And it's kind of a roguelike game in that if one of your other characters dies, that's it, they're gone for good. And I actually lost one of the two characters I started with. I lost one. I took him out. I'm like, I'm going to level him up a little bit and get him some good experience out in the world. And he got toasted, and I lost him. And it was actually kind of sad because it was the brother of the main person I picked. So I'm just like, oh, that stinks.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Man.
So but it is kind of cool because it adds that tension of like, I need to be careful. Do I keep trying to beat this group of zombies, or do I just jump in the car and leave at risk of losing somebody if I stay? So it's a ton of fun though. But it's kind of like Sea of Thieves, which I also really like. Would be more fun playing with people, and this does have co-op in it, which I haven't tried yet. But playing by yourself kind of has limited fun factor or limited lasting, enjoyment. So, but it's a lot of fun though.
Cool. Have you run into any sort of technical issues with the game?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. There's the odd clipping here, zombies kind of getting hung up indoors. Kind of using the zombie movie strategy of like, well, I'll funnel them through this small opening, and they kind of will all do that, but then they'll kind of clip on the wall, and one will be hanging from the door and just hanging there, and just kind of weird stuff. It's nothing really game breaking. I read in some of the reviews that people have experienced that, but I didn't. And I played probably 15 hours in that first weekend that it came out, and I didn't really have anything game breaking. They do have something that if you get stuck, which I did, I got stuck under my car.
Okay.
I jumped out. The Juggernaut is the big zombie that you can come across, and you cannot run over that with your car. You will stop dead in your tracks. And I kept trying to, and then he destroyed my car, and I tried to jump out, and I ended up under my car. And there's an option you can do to, if you get stuck, to like spawn outside of where you're stuck. So that was like really helpful. But that's kind of weird. Yeah. Kind of weird that they would put that in.
Yeah.
Like it's like they're gonna get stuck in the environment. Let's put something in so that they can get out. But I was glad to have it there, because otherwise I was like, it saves automatically very regularly, but that's always frustrating when that happens. You get stuck and have to reload. But so to have an option to be able to get out is nice. But nothing game breaking, kind of cosmetic. Kind of the Mass Effect Andromeda of bugs, wonky animations, that kind of stuff. But we maybe won't go there. But it's a $30 game. I mean, it's basically a budget title. I got the Ultimate Edition because it came with the first State of Decay, and I got to play State of Decay 2 4 days early, or the Friday before it came out. So that was $50, I think. But so it's only $30. I'm sure it'll be on sale soon too. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Nice.
I wouldn't
Nice.
necessarily recommend it unless you want to play co-op. Co-op, like I said, would probably be more fun. But it's a good survival game. It's better than Metal Gear Survive, which I like, but I'll just say that.
All right.
Yep. And then last is I played a bit of Dark Souls Remastered. So
Ooh,
I
there
will
you go.
try not to gush too much about Dark Souls because I'm a massive, massive fan of this series, starting with Demon Souls, which just shut down. Rest in peace, Demon Souls. Or the servers just shut down. You can still play it on your PS3, but the online components are not there. So, but Dark Souls Remastered, it's one of those games that, I mean, whether you really got into it or not, and I know, Jet, you and I have talked about this quite a bit over the years, that, the barrier to entry of these games, it can be really difficult. And I used to think, if you just push through it, it'll click and you'll love it. I don't really think that anymore. I used to think that, but I don't really think that anymore, because sometimes it's not something that you have the patience to push through. As you can see, I've played this. This is the very beginning. Once you get out of the tutorial area, I've played it so many times that I know where stuff is. But to have a game not like trapped in the last gen and actually have running at 60 frames per second, 1080p, it's fantastic. I mean, that's a game you can play it. It's backwards compatible on Xbox One, but it's still the same 720p, 30 frames per second. Chugs along in certain parts. Blight Town, if anyone is familiar with the game, is the horrendous part of this game where it dips like in the teens the frame rate will dip into the teens, and it's very difficult. So even having Xbox One backwards compatibility, you're still stuck with a game that was not optimized at all, really. So having it remastered on current gen consoles is great, and it's the same game. I mean, they didn't change anything. There were some people complaining that, well, they should add stuff, blah blah blah. But for me, it's like, keep it as it is, clean it up. It looks sharp, it runs great, and it's like, should be in a museum, this game.
Yeah.
So this is so people will be able to play this for years to come and not have to dig their PS3s out if they don't have an Xbox One. It's just great, and I think I still have died a couple times already, even early on. Not in this video, thankfully. But this is one of those things. I'm kind of bummed the Switch version got delayed, but this was one of the games on my Switch dream list of like, please bring a remaster of Dark Souls to the Switch, and thankfully they did, but also to everything else. So I've got this on PS4 and PC, because Dark Souls is just one of those series that I have to own on every platform that I have.
Wow.
So I don't know why, but I'm just like, I gotta have it on every platform, even if they're like literally sitting in the same room. So which they are. And
I can't judge because I own way too many copies of Street Fighter 2, and at some point I'm going to own another version of that game with the Street Fighter collection when that comes out. I guess just because we haven't talked about it on this show, though I think as a group, we've all talked about this at some point. I've played Dark Souls like once or twice. I still have a copy here that I got as a Christmas present one year, and I just couldn't get into it at all. I understand why people like the complexity and the slower combat with the very deliberate swings, but I just hit a point where I'm like, I'm not having fun doing this at all. And at a certain point I just said, like, I'm gonna let this go. I know a lot of people love this game, and people hold this up as one of the greatest games of the generation or of all time, and it's always used as such a reference point for everything. It's such a meme of like, yeah, this game is the Dark Souls of blah blah blah. And I wanted to know like what that meant exactly, and I think I played just enough to kind of know what people mean when they say that, but it's just not my cup of tea, and that's okay too.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I started with Demon Souls on the PS3, and I thought it was cool. I think I killed one boss, but I was like, man, I don't like my RPGs quite like this, so I moved on pretty quick.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, I used to think it's like, oh, but you just need to push through. It's like, no, it's just not for everybody. I mean, and as you said, Jet, I mean, it's very it's not a cheap game to where if you die, you probably screwed up. But you're also at the mercy of a inconsistent frame rate before, and kind of last gen resolution. So to have it 60 frames per second, to be able to count on your swings swinging when you mean them to, and that kind of stuff, it's a huge help. It's a bit of an adjustment too, because you kind of had to adjust to the low frame rate before, but it's just a much faster game.
Great.
Which is great. And it's good. Yeah, it's fantastic.
All right. As for me, I've been playing. So let's talk a little bit about Pokemon. They had some huge announcements yesterday. Man, just dropping bombs everywhere. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu looks to be like a remake of a sort of quasi remake, at least very heavily influenced by Pokemon Yellow. I really like the fact that game is going to have co-op in it. I think it looks great. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do instead of having Pokemon fights with wild Pokemon. Like, I understand it has the Pokemon Go throw the ball thing, but if it's just throw the ball at Pokemon and then battle trainers, that doesn't seem like much of a game at all.
Yeah, and the trailer didn't really give a lot of info on it, so I guess it's still up for. I'm sure they'll show more at E3.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're right. It's basically, to me, I mean, it looks really cool, and of course I'll buy it. But it's kind of like it's Pokemon Go 2 in a sense. So I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a huge seller this Christmas though, because I've had a hard time getting into Pokemon. I bought X and Moon over the years and played for a couple hours. I'm like, I just can't do it. But Pokemon Go, I still play every day. I don't know why, but I still play it every day. So I saw that and I'm like, I could get into that. My kids would probably love it because I could hand them a controller and say, let's just catch some Pokemon.
Or a little Pokeball.
Yeah, and the Pokemon. I'm like, I got to get 2 of those too.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I will get the mainline game next year too, but this looks like a lot of fun.
Yep.
And it will sell some Switches this Christmas.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Also excited for that mainline game, but they dropped a third game, Pokemon Quest, which is out now on the Nintendo eShop. And have you guys had a chance to play this at all?
No, not yet.
I played for about a half an hour today.
Okay. Yeah. So I played a little bit late last night, and it's a mobile game. You don't actually you don't have direct control over the movement of the Pokemon that you have. So it's a squad. It's like the video that I have here from Game Explain. It's only one Pokemon, I think. But eventually you have like 3 Pokemon at a time, and they wander around the world. The computer controls that. And then they just go and beat up all the Pokemon in the area, collecting items. The things you can do is you can control when they use their charge attacks. So as you can see in the video, Eevee has Takedown and Flail. I'm pressing the button to trigger those things. And then on the right, there's a button with the arrows, and that's like an evade button. So really throughout the levels, all you're doing is triggering your special attacks and leaving. It does quick attacks by itself, so you're not actually doing much in the moment. But where the game, I guess the more intricate part is managing your Pokemon. Each Pokemon can level up, it can train. It has Destiny-style sockets where you can plug stuff in to upgrade them in different ways. And then the mobile part of it is that there's a cooking element. So you're collecting these items and you're cooking them in a pot. And after a certain number of quests, it'll be done and you will attract a new Pokemon to add to your team. And where the free-to-play part gets you is that it takes a certain number of quests before new Pokemon will show up. Or you could spend these tickets and just get the prize right away. Right. So at the beginning, I thought I was gonna hate this game. It's so passive in the way, like there's an auto button. You can just watch the Pokemon play the level itself. But I was playing it on the train, and I kind of got into it. I kind of enjoyed managing, like being like Pokemon manager and watching the numbers go up. I was pretty satisfied by that for what it was, like this free-to-play mobile game. I don't think I'd spend money on it or anything, but for a couple hours, this was pretty fun.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to admit, I was tempted to, because they have little like starter packs, like $5, $10, $17, and $18, weirdly, but I was tempted to be like, I may buy a $5 pack, but I'm not going to really play this a whole lot. I mean, had way more fun than I expected.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to come out on mobile, like actual mobile devices, I think later this month or June, I think they said. But it's I mean it's better than I thought.
Yeah.
Even the way it looks, the visual style. When I saw screenshots, I'm like, that looks dumb. But when I actually seeing it in motion, I'm like, that's not too bad. It's got a unique style, and it's going to be a mobile game, anyway. And so I'm like, that's fun for what it is.
Yeah. I got to the point in the game where I hit a level where my team was not good enough to beat this boss, and I guess at that point I could have been like, maybe I throw some money in here to get some better Pokemon. But I decided not to, at least not yet.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't think this is going to keep people fully engaged until Pokemon Let's Go Eevee or Let's Go Pikachu comes out, but it's just like a nice little trinket to throw in there to keep the Pokemon name out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Another thing, so Matt and I talked about Nintendo Labo while on the last show, and I've made another thing. I made this house. So yeah, check out my crib.
Cool.
This is the front of the house. You can see through the window. This is where the magic happens. So I've got some video from the house part. So what actually happens is the Switch is here, and there's a creature inside the house. As you can see, we're in its living room right now, and you also make these sort of I don't know what you call these. You plug them into the house. So this one's a crank. You can actually hear it makes a clicky noise. This one is like a key mechanism, which actually twists and springs back into place. And then there is a push. There's like a spring action button. That's all cardboard. There's no...
Wow.
It's kind of crazy to me how that works. And so you plug these things into the house, and it does different stuff. So, for example, right now there's a minecart level. You put the pusher button at the bottom of the house, and then a minecart comes up, and then you actually press the button in order to make the cart jump. And so there's a bunch of little different mini games based on where you plug in each different thing, and so you mess around with it for a few minutes to see the different combinations, and in theory this is cool. The problem is there's
in theory.
And once again, it's another issue, not so much with the cardboard itself, but with the software. There's like, once you see all of the different things that you can do with the house, like, that's kind of it. There's no, even in the minecart level, it doesn't keep your score. You just turn the lights on and off, or you fill it with water, and for 10 to 15 minutes that's cool, but then there's like nothing to do afterwards. So
yeah,
I don't think I'll ever play the cardboard thing again, and I don't know what to do with it.
Yep, just like those Rock Band instruments, don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Well, and it definitely seems geared towards the younger audience, because I know my kids, their attention spans tend to not stick on, if it's not Lego, tend to not stick on things for that long. So it's kind of like, I could see kids playing through whatever you're playing and then just be like, okay, cool, I'm done. Let's build something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I just think, like, with the first two things, the RC car, I think that has a bit more replay value in that it has the trick where you can use reflective strips to make it run by itself, and then also you can make your own obstacle courses and stuff like that. And then the fishing game is, like, at a root level actually kind of cool, trying to catch these fish, and you can go back and try and catch bigger fish. But with this thing, like, once you see all the tricks that the creature can do in the house, that's kind of it. And that's 10 to 15 minutes of gameplay. It took way longer.
We pretty much watched it all right now. So.
Yeah.
How many other things can you build with that? Is that from one pack, or can you build a bunch of other things with it?
Oh, so it's the variety kit. So you can build the RC car, the fishing rod, the house, and there's two other things. There's the piano and the motorcycle.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, right.
Yep. So at some point we will take on those two. I'm most excited for the piano, so that I can make my sick beats on Nintendo Labo or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah. Our next intro will be
just
done by you.
Playing on the keys. Yeah. A couple of other things I've been playing. So have you guys heard of a game called Castlevania by chance?
I love Castlevania. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
So one of the makers of I don't know how far back Igarashi goes. I apologize. I didn't really play Castlevania until I got it on the NES Classic and was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. But he started a Kickstarter for a new game called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and one of the stretch goals was this game that I'm showing right now, which is a Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And as you can see, it looks very Nintendo. It is pretty much a ripoff of those NES Castlevania games, right down to whipping the candles on the wall and breaking the walls to get the chicken or whatever. But it's really good. It pretty much hits all the Castlevania notes you would expect, but I kind of like the adjustments they've made to it. So, for example, the music is a little more elaborate because it's not truly 8-bit. The graphics are a little better because it's not truly 8-bit. Sort of like Shovel Knight, where it's in that general aesthetic, but it kind of goes above and beyond it. And then from a gameplay perspective, I like the fact that there are different characters you can recruit throughout. So, for example, this is the main guy. I think his name is Zamasu, and he's got a sword. But then at the end of this level, you recruit, oh man, I can't remember her name, Miriam, and she's got a whip. So her attack is a bit slower, but it reaches way farther. There's an alchemist guy you can recruit his physical attacks are horrible, but his magic attacks are amazing. And then the fourth guy you recruit is basically a vampire. And he turns into a bat.
Of course he is.
And you have to flip between the guys on the fly, and there are different areas you can access with each one. And once you get to the harder difficulties, there are moments where it's like, if you don't have this particular character and this particular weapon, you're screwed. So
that sucks. Yeah.
My first main playthrough wasn't too bad. I'm playing it on Nightmare mode now, and it's definitely harder. I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way through. I'm actually pretty close, but I'm really enjoying what I'm playing of it right now. For $10 US, I think it's great. If you have any interest at all in Castlevania or what you're seeing right now on the screen.
Yeah. No, I think before the show started, I didn't know it was this game, and I think my comment was like, oh, is this Castlevania? It was little tiny pictures, so it's got the image down for sure.
Yeah.
And all the gameplay stuff you mentioned sounds just like Castlevania 3. All the characters and different abilities and stuff.
Okay. I have not played that one.
It looks like it's just like this one. So.
Okay. I've played 1 and 2.
Oh, great.
JJ, have you played Bloodstained yet?
I have, yeah. I played a little bit. You're actually further than I got in this video, so I didn't play it a whole lot. Man. But I played it enough to be like, this is pretty awesome. Yeah, spoilers. Played it enough to be like, all right, I'm going to dig into this. I'm going on vacation soon, so it's like, I'm going to take this, and this will be awesome. But yeah, it's a lot like those, and even I've read that it's like, what was the Dracula X? No, the Rondo of Blood, I think.
Rondo of Blood, yeah.
Yeah, where there are other paths in the level that you have to kind of find and sometimes use these other characters. So it's linear to a point, but there are other paths you can take. So I'm like really looking forward to digging into it, because yeah, it's totally that. I generally have a hard time getting into like old school like games like this.
Okay.
But like I love the Castlevania games, like all the Castlevania games. So
whoa, my camera just completely crapped out.
Budget.
That's no good. I'm probably gonna have to restart the stream. But anyway, finish your point, and then we'll stop the stream and then come back.
Yeah. Sure. So Castlevania is great. That looks great. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're gonna stop the stream for a sec, and then we will be back. I've got one more game to talk about, and then we'll start the Nintendo 64 draft. See you in a sec.